Okay, we'll have a lesson. This lesson is going to be on Charles Darwin. Darwin, of course, is not a philosopher, he's a scientist, but he is very significant in the history of ideas, and that's why he will be included in this course. Darwin was English. He went to Cambridge University in England, and he planned to study for the ministry. But he was influenced by a biology teacher, and he became interested in biology. And with the help of his teacher, Darwin was given a position of what they called back then a naturalist. It would be something like a biologist today. On a ship called the Beagle, and the Beagle was going on a journey to South America and numerous islands. And Darwin returned to England after that journey with thousands of pages of notes and a focused mind. The accepted idea at this time was that all species of animals and plants were fixed. That means they were unchanging. The belief, of course, was that God had created all of these different species of animals and plants and meant for them to be a certain way, and they have remained that way. So when Darwin suggests that species are not fixed, that some disappear, that others change or evolve, this is a revolution in how we understand the world and how we understand our place in nature. The influence of Darwin's ideas will reach into the humanities, the social sciences, genetics, ethics, and even political theory. I will not go into all of those things with this lesson, but it's an enormously influential figure. Darwin published his famous book in 1859. It has a lengthy title, and so it is normally known simply as Origin of Species, 1859. Others had written about the plan and order of nature, and about the fitness of plants and animals to meet the challenges of the natural world. But this was always taken as compelling evidence for a creator or a God. It is what we call the argument from design. And the argument from design is simply, anytime you see a complex design, you have to infer that there was a designer. And so when you see the complex design of nature, people would have to infer that there had to be a creator, a God. How else could you explain the presence of different species and the order in nature? Darwin is going to give an explanation of how there can be design in nature without a designer. And this is an earth-shaking moment in the history of ideas. Darwin finds a purpose in all living things in the natural world, and that is survival. This is a natural inclination. There is no metaphysical principle or force at work here. Some organisms, he found, were more suited to survive than others. Some were able to adapt to their environment. He called this process of those who were able to adapt to their environment in order to survive. He called this survival of the fittest. Nature selects the fittest specimens to survive, and he calls this process natural selection. Whole species can disappear, and through variation, changes in species occur gradually. This gradual change in species, Darwin called evolution. All life, he claimed, evolved from simple organisms. But we don't see species changing. And that's because the process is so gradual. It could take hundreds of thousands of years for evolution to work. But many people believed at this time that the earth was only about 6,000 years old. Where did this belief come from? From biblical evidence, from genealogy. If you are familiar with the Bible, there will be all of these so-and-so begat so-and-so, who begat so-and-so, who begat so-and-so. And you can take that back from say, the time of Christ. And we can go back and you would see that it would be around, the world would have been created around 4000 BC, according to the biblical evidence. But a British geologist by the name of Charles Lyell had published a 3-volume work called Principles of Geology. It's published over a 3-year period. His research indicated that the Earth was hundreds of thousands of years old. This means there was enough time in the Earth's past for evolution to work. Lyell also had proposed, based on fossil evidence, that older species had died out and had been replaced. But he said nothing about the possibility of existing species being modified or changing. So there was scientific evidence to support Darwin's claim. And Darwin suggested that humans as being merely part of the animal kingdom. Human nature is not separated in any way from the balance of nature, and this takes away the unique status of humans, and as you can imagine, there was much popular reaction against the ideas of Charles Darwin. But perhaps most significantly, Darwin's work implied that nature has its own creative and renewing resources. It requires no supernatural agency. There is no plan or intention at work here. It had always been assumed that the regularity and harmony of nature implied the presence of some metaphysical force. But this traditional belief is now undercut by the ideas of Darwin. And the study of metaphysics will receive. We will do one more philosopher in here, and who will have a metaphysical explanation for some things. But by and large, past Darwin, we're not going to see much more metaphysics. It will be diminished. And evolutionary theory pictures nature as a hellish place of competition and conflict.